On Wednesday the 1st in the September of 2021, the 2.1 update came to Genshin Impact, bringing with it fishing. Currently, it is 2024, and I've barely used this feature, even 3 whole years later. And I have my reasons not to. Some of them you might even agree with, such as it's boring, too spammy, too much work, and why would I waste my time on stupid fish if I could fight bosses 20 times my size, find shiny treasures, and gamble away everything I'm worth for lines of code? But after all these years, after 100%ing every region, most achievement boards, and getting 900 plus achievements, I'm still a bit ashamed that I never been able to say that I'm good at fishing in Genshin. So finally, after 3.5 years of fishing being in the game, I'm going to properly fish in Genshin Impact, and by God am I going to become the best angler in all of teyvat. So, what are the rules? There are no rules. What are the goals? Well, there are a couple, such as 100%ing the fishing achievement board. This was kind of my main reason to start this entire challenge, so that is the top goal. Second is to catch every kind of fish that is currently in the game, and by currently I mean pre-Natlan because this is when I'm making this video. Third is to get every single item from every fishing association shop across every region, and connected to this is to R5 every weapon available in the fishing association shops. I struggle a bit with saying that word, and I don't know why I put this all over the script. And what if I fail? I will not. I mean, it's Genshin, it's easy, it's fishing. What could be so difficult about it? I started off with the Mondstadt fishing shop because I'm sane enough to go in chronological order, and I already have something to confess. I might have already fished around a teeny tiny bit. I know I'm a scam, a fraud, I should go sleep with the fishes, but you gotta hear me out, Your Honor. I was being silly, but look, there's still so much to buy, right? Anyways, something I didn't know previously was that neither Mondstadt nor Liyue have fishing-based weapons, so these two regions were a lot easier than I expected, although I knew that my suffering would only ever get worse from here on out. Oh, and to further my mission of catching every type of fish, I caught the Medaka, Aizen Medaka venom spine fish, Akai Mao snow strider, which is the only dragon spine dedicated fish, golden and rusty koi, brown and tea-colored shirakodai, and lastly the pufferfish, and of course, the bitter pufferfish. I would say I was the most distracted and slow with the fishes I got in Mondstadt and Liyue because I was dumb and didn't know how to optimize my fishing, but I got there eventually. You'll see later on that I got a lot quicker. After all this was said and done, I moved on to Liyue, which wasn't any better of an experience from the fishing side of things. I mean, the scenery was different, but one thing was better, or worse depending on who you ask, and that was that there was much more to buy in the Liyue Fishing Association shop, and by much more I meant there was one additional item. So I got to it again. The Fishing Association shop was emptied in as much time as it took me to say pneumono ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis, which was quicker than I expected. Along the way, I also caught the sweet flower medaka, the beta, the abiding angelfish, and lastly the jade heart feather bass. The last of which, the jade bass, was probably my favorite fish in the entire game, and also is the most recent while making this video since it's from the Chenyu Whale region. To catch this fish, I had to skip ahead to Fontaine's shop just for a second to get the sour bait so I could catch it. But I'm sure it won't matter in the long run to skip ahead for a little bit. You know, maybe I should do a fish tier list at some point. One of the most annoying fishes to catch was the beta. That's it. There's nothing really more to that. Maybe it's just because I was struggling with the spawn rates of the fish at the time, but that's just how things ended up being. I do remember that after I was actually finished with fishing in Liyue, I went back to fish for a few more fishes in the later regions, and I got a lot more bait at that time, so maybe it was just my bad luck. Also, I'm kind of disappointed that there was no chasm dedicated fish because there was one for both Inkonomia and Dragonspine, so that's a bit unfair. But I feel like if there was one, it would have been pretty cool, maybe with the more like mining geo side of this. Like maybe we could make a rockfish or something like that. Lastly, fishing in the chasm coincidentally did take me to a line of quests I hadn't completed before, so something good did actually come of this challenge. Surprising. Now, I'm gonna take an intermission to let you all know about the trade secrets, from how to optimize where you throw your hook to various tips. Now, I didn't learn all of this through Mondstadt and Layaway. In fact, I learned a lot of it afterwards, but I'm just gonna tell you now. So, first and foremost, turn off your dialogue audio when fishing. This is going to save your mind from a lot of torment because it's a lot more annoying to hear the Traveler and Paimon's voice lines while you're fishing than you might imagine. And, I don't have anything against Traveler or the Paimon, but I'm going to be honest, Paimon doesn't need to be saying all that. It really doesn't make the game any better, it honestly just makes it worse. So turn that off. Next, you can use the interactive map to mark out all the fishing spots in a region before you actually begin fishing there. And this is again going to save you a lot of time, and you really don't need to be going around discovering every fishing spot in a region. It just takes too much time. Now, with actually catching the fish, try to throw a hook to the side or directly in front of the fish about an inch away. And I'm gonna put something up to visualize for you what an inch away means in a game where inches don't really exist. So consider that. Another tip I heard was for when you're catching longer fish like the koi or the swordfish, to throw the hook on the tail side of the fish. For me, it was just a little difficult to get this right. A lot of the times the fish would just end up swimming away. So, try that. If it works, sure, go ahead, do it, but it didn't really work for me. And also make sure to consider where the fish is going to be once the hook actually lands in the water, especially with fishes that are faster like the swordfishes. And yeah, basically just the swordfishes. Next is when you have the wrong type of bait equipped, throw your line just out of bounds and equip the correct bait while the Traveler is recovering. This will cut a lot of time in that whole segment where they're recovering and it's like taking a lot of time. It's just not efficient that way. Remember, you can always walk around the area to get to fishes you can't reach if they're like really swimming out there, because the fishing area is a circle and sometimes the fishes can reach like the sides of it. Sometimes this technique is not available in more like annoying fishing spots, but you can always keep that in mind to make sure you have like the most efficient way of actually catching the fish. And lastly, you can always craft a bunch of bait just all at once, since they're mostly made of useless stuff like synthetia or wheat or something like that, so that you don't have to keep making trips back and forth between the alchemy table and the fishing spots like me. I was like crafting the bait in 30 or 40 pieces every time because I'm a little bit stingy in Genshin, I'm not gonna lie. But just craft like 100 at once. Even then you're probably going to run out of it. To be honest, craft like 200 or something like that. It's probably going to last you a pretty long time, but probably not that long either way. So yeah, intermission over. Next was, you guessed it, Inazuma. Now, Inazuma was the first nation to get its own specialized weapon in the fishing shop, so I knew I already had more work cut out for me than before. But I put Thoma in my team and got to work. Before I really started though, I strategized a bit and came to the conclusion that it would be best to get Inazuma's fishing pole before I got the infamous catch, since it would then be easier to get all the fishes necessary for both the weapon and its refinements. But then I realized that I don't really know how fishing poles even worked, so maybe the strategy worked, maybe it didn't, I never really figured it out. Then I got to work, slaving away yet again until my hands got on that glorified purple stick, and then it was time. Time to farm for the catch. So, am I going to talk about the Raime angelfish? Yes, I am. These are, by far, the worst fishes to catch in all of Teyvat. These fishes live in electrified water and are surrounded by mobs. Plus, they only spawn at night in groups of 4 or 5 if you're lucky. On their own, any of these problems would be no issue, but together, they just become a hassle rather than a detriment, to be very honest. Also, did I mention that fishes respawn every 3 days, so you can only get 8 of these over a week when you need 16 or more in total. All my homies hate the Raime angelfish. Also, for the longest time, I kept pronouncing this as a Raime anglefish, and I feel a little bit stupid now. Also, I didn't forget Inkonomia either, so I made a quick detour through the Watatsumushi, I don't know why I wrote that down, and went to hell to fish some stingray looking things. Finally, all the fishes I caught included the glazed medaka, the lunch stickleback, the purple shirakodai, the Raime angelfish, I keep forgetting how to speak, and the divda and formillo rays. Nice. Now, some other things I want to mention include the state of fishing at this point and Toma. I would say that in Inazuma, the fishing mechanic is at its most awkward. There are generally higher requirements rather than in later regions, and some elevated difficulty here and there. Example, the Raime angelfish. There are also arguably both better and worse items in regions. All in all, I think fishing was just trying to fit in as a mechanic of the game at this point because, it had just gotten added and it was basically added in post after the game was launched and stable and everything. Oh yeah, by the way, Thoma's utility passive exists. He makes it so that if you're fishing in Inazuma, there's a chance to double your fish on catch. It's by far the most unique one since quite literally nobody else shares it. I know some passives are quite strange like Rosaria's, but come on, Toma doesn't even need to be in your party to get a bonus in Inazuma. It's like he's omnipotent of anyone fishing and blesses them across the oceans without a single mention of his name. God bless. But don't get ahead of yourself because the bonus fish don't get counted towards the 2k fish achievement. Now, after all that, I could go to Sumeru. Landing at the lively docks of Port Ormos, I immediately kickstarted my fishing journey, knowing that another fully stocked shop awaits me. To be honest, I actually felt excited for one particular item in the Fishing Association shop, so I went for it first. Then I saw the price and jumped from the docks, hoping to turn into a rock. However, seeing the new sights of Sumeru invigorated me. This was really around when I started to pick up the pace. One of the best things I did was making a note with all the fishes I needed summed up for ease. Another was utilizing co-op to its full effect. This specifically helped a lot. I emptied the whole shop within a few days by using co-op. Finally, I had a fish tank so I could put all my hardened fish on display to show their beauty. Just kidding, I never touched that thing again. I put the R5 bow on a random character and moved on with lightning speed. Before moving on, I tried to see if there was anything special in the Sumerian desert, but didn't find many fishes at all. I wonder why. In the end, these were all the fishes I got in Sumeru. The True Fruit Angler, Peach of the Deep Waves, Sandstorm Angler, the Sunset Cloud Angler, the Lazarite Axe Marlin, and the halcyon jade axe marlin. I'm not sure how to pronounce that word. At this point, I want to take a bit to apologize to anyone who I annoyed by fishing in their worlds for too long, but to be very honest, I just wanted to be done with this as quickly as possible because it had been a month at this point, or even more than that, I think. I'm also glad that all the people whose world I went to were pretty nice and cooperative, at least as far as I remember. Another thing, the spherical fish in Sumeru, just atrocities to marine biology, but honestly, a lot of fishes are pretty weird, so this might have just existed in our world at some point. Alright, Fontaine. I hadn't fished at all in Fontaine before this, but I did know that they had some weird fish, aka fish that were actually robots. After marking out all the fishing spots and making a shit ton of bait, I got to work for one last time. At this point, I had been at this for multiple months, and yeah, part of this was because of me forgetting to actually fish, but also because, again, fishes take not 2 days to respawn like literally all other things in Genshin, but rather 3 whole days. Anyways, while I was fishing in Fontaine, I was mostly thinking about actually diving into the water and catching fish like in Minecraft, or after the 1.14 update, and I wish it was something MiHoYo added, but I guess I will never have my big crab fish to display. While daydreaming about terrorizing ocean life, I was soon done with terrorizing ocean life, and these are all the fishes I caught in Fontaine. The streaming axe marlin, the rippling heartfeather bass, I'm gonna keep calling it bass, the blazing heartfeather bass, the maintenance mech initial configurations, the maintenance mech water body cleaner, the maintenance mech situation controller, the maintenance mech platinum collection, and sadedly, the maintenance mech gold leader, which is completely useless. To be very honest, fishing in Sumeru and Fontaine were like flashes of light compared to the slow pace of fishing in all 3 of the other regions. Now that's either a testament to my betterment or MiHoYo's optimization of fishing in general. I'm just gonna count it as my skill though. Finally, all shops had been cleared and weapons refined. All that was left remaining was the very final achievement, the one thing that stood between me and the end of this unnecessarily long and arduous journey. We're in the home stretch now. The final 500 fishes. It was 1,500 fishes, then it went to 1,800, then 1,945. I only need 55 more fishes. Fishes. The gambling brain is too strong on this one. Soon, I was catching the very last fish. And just like that, it was over. Not a moment too soon either. 2,000 fishes caught, of every kind from every region. All fishing association shops emptied. Achievement board cleared. I started this 5 months ago in January, which is crazy considering this all should have ended in February. I got Arlecchino during this. I got from 900 to 1,000 achievements. Heck, my country even went through a flood through all this. Admittedly, I was a bit sad to see it all end. Of course, I could always fish again. God, who am I kidding? I'm never gonna fish again. Okay, I know I exaggerated a bit in the video. To be very honest, fishing is kind of fun and I recommend it to anyone who doesn't have anything left to do in Genshin, like me. So yeah, try it out if you have the time or you want to actually experience a different side of Genshin. I think that there's not that much to gain from it. The only good weapon really is the catch, and the other two I've never really seen anyone else use. But yeah, I think it was fun, and to be very honest, it's not been 5 months anymore. I think it's been more 7 months at this point. And that's partially my fault because I've actually been done with the fishing part of this for a pretty long time now, but I'm just lazy or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's about it. Bye.